humans messing things up.
Okay. So we put a PowerPoint together. Roberto and I put a whole PowerPoint together. Roberto, how long did it take this PowerPoint take?
Of days.
Days. Okay. What we wanted to do tonight, before we turn it over to Roberto and we actually write code, is let's make a slide together. Roberto, to you, what is a pipeline?
Well, I would like to use whatever Bryce said, and it's an organized way that you can define your inputs and outputs. You is 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 a process, right? That you define your input and outputs, and then you can define in the middle what quality gateways do you want to put on those in that pipeline. And another point would be is always repeatable. Is a process repeatable for everyone? Is reliable? Is reproducible? If you have any issue, you can go there and then reproduce whatever was made for anyone's in the team. So if you have an idea, for example, when you said or when you are working with anyone and say, can you just write a piece of code and execute it? It depends on the person. Some people are is gonna every person is gonna do it in a different way. So to avoid that kind of things, you can use pipelines. It's gonna be always the same inputs and the same outputs.
Cool. So
Yep,
Marcus,
this pretty high overview what the pipeline is.
Marcus, do you know what a pipeline
Yep.
is? We good to go? You want to
Yep.
build one?
What?
You want to build one?
Sure, why not?
All right, Roberto, you want to share your screen? So as we go through, if you have a question in the Slack chat or if you have a question and you're on stream, just ask it, because literally Roberto's going to start coding and telling us what he's coding and maybe pair with us. And our job is to ask all the questions we have. Like one of the questions I'm going to ask is, what is a quality gate? And do I get that at Home Depot? By the
You
way, we're
can
not
get that.
sponsored by Home Depot. That's just the store that's behind my house. Home Depot, though, if you want to throw a couple million at us, call us up.
Let me share my screen. Let me know if you guys can see the screen.
That is my favorite question of the last 6 months. Yes.
I can see it. Yeah, yeah. Is
That's
this thing
perfect.
on? I can see it. Yeah.
So, well, what I basically did before to getting everything ready is right. I just created an instance in AWS, and this instance is gonna be just the Jenkins. We're gonna use Jenkins today to show how to write pipeline, and that instance is hosted here in this address. And as you can see, it's pretty simple. Nothing is there. It's created from scratch. And I created this project that is right here. It's a public project. The name is Canton Coders Spring Boot app. It's a pretty dummy app. Just a couple of tests in there, and it's gonna be a recipe HTML. I don't remember pretty well. Um, so the first thing that I want to know, I want to show you, right? Let me reset this right here. This is BS Code that I use BS Code really often. I have my BS Code integrated with my Windows System Linux, so I can run everything that I want from there. And this is pretty basic what I have. I don't have any Jenkins. I don't have any pipeline in this project. It's pretty simple. So the first thing that I want to do is I'm in the project and I want to do Maven claim uh, package.
Cool. And while that runs, I got some questions for you.
Yeah,
Because
sure.
I'm thinking, Marcus, I'm going to quiz Marcus here because we're paying a lot of money for you to be here tonight, Roberto, right? Your travel costs were extensive. This man ate 4 things off the dollar menu tonight. And, you know, so Marcus, do you know what Jenkins is? Or who Jenkins is? Like, why is Jenkins here? You're on mute, Marcus.
I guess I'm gonna go with no. I've heard of it.
So,
Suppose
yep. Let me go back and help Marcus with that question. So what Jenkins is a continuous integration server. And maybe you hear about others competitors. I don't like to say competitors, different options that you have out there in the market. Like Jenkins is for me is the oldest one, but you have Azure DevOps. You have GitHub Actions right now for GitHubs. You have GitLab. You can do CI/CD, GitLab CI/CD. If you have Bitbucket, also Bitbucket added the pipelines. Every repository is trying to integrate his own solution, but Jenkins is not integrated with any code repository, so it's a standalone, it's a server, and then most of these integration tools allow you to define nodes or agents is where you delegate uh, functions that you want to run piece of code or your pipeline. We're gonna get there later. So returning back to, so if you can see, I just executed, I just compiled, right? Like in my local environment, I just compiled the project and it's working fine, but I don't have any CI/CD process. I can deploy this one manually in the environment and I can see it, but that is a really painful process. So what else do I have in here is going to be, let me copy this one because I just created the other. Um, I created a Tomcat server. I don't know is anyone here know what is a Tomcat, but it's used to deploy. I'm gonna deploy my WAR application in this Tomcat server, and then we can review what is in here. So let's go back and start with the fun part, right? So the first thing in Jenkins that you can do is create a new item. The new item is going to be a new job. What we can do is just create a pipeline from scratch. We can do freestyle jobs, other options here, or we can create a pipeline. It's a regular pipeline where you type in and then configure your pipeline. Or you can do multi-branch pipeline, which is a little bit more complex. And then maybe Joe and I, we're going to schedule a different meetings to talk about multi-branch pipelines. So let's start with the easy one that is going to be a pipeline, right? And let's name it Canton Coders boot app. Something simple. This is pretty basic what a pipelines provides you. You can define multiple options here, build trigger, etc., etc., etc. And the piece is there is a section where you can define your pipeline script, or you can pull that one from a repository. So let's start with a simple demo here. And this is the happy part. So Jenkins pipelines are described with DSL languages Groovy. So we can start doing pipeline. Let me increase the, can you guys see? Let me do a
Hey,
little
Twitch
bit.
chat. Can you see this? James, is it big enough for you? Takes like 10 seconds for James to respond. He has to unmute his video.
So let me know if the in the chat the people can see the screen, but I believe it's visible. So the pipeline is pretty straightforward. You can define the agents, and the agent that I have here only is master. I don't have anything else. Let me close that one. And then we have stages where we put the different stage. That in the pipeline is going to be basically your gateways that we were talking about before. And let's say we're going to do something like more simple, hello. And then inside the stage, you can execute multiple steps. So let's say that a step is going to be a sh command, and that one is going to be even simple. We can do echo hello, or so simple like that. So this is pretty basic pipeline where you define the content of the pipeline, where do you want to run it, and the numbers of stages that you want. In this case, we only have one stage that is executing in echo. We do apply. If there's any error, this is gonna give you a message like there's something with the syntax, something wrong with the syntax. And then if we execute it.
You told me you never make errors, so you don't know if that actually works.
So this is the pipeline that is running right here. And then as you can see, it's running, but it's not using any repository.
So can you go back to that picture again?
So you want to see
and
the
guys,
configuration?
Marcus, you got to interrupt him because like he knows his stuff on this. So interrupt him so he's a little excited.
Okay. That's fine. You can do any kind of question, interactions. I don't
Whoa,
care.
whoa. Can you go back to that picture so we can get a longer the pipeline view?
The picture of the pipeline.
Yeah, right there. Stage view.
Okay.
So what does that hello mean? So that's the stage?
That's the stage name, the one that we defined. You can define. So if you are creating your pipeline, you can have different stages. Like for example, in our application, we have a stage that is going to say, let's build. Another one is going to be test. Another one is going to be
So
deploy or package. Is you have, for example, you want to deploy your application to a Nexus Artifacts.
so a stage is a group of steps, right?
A stage is a group of steps. You can define one or multiple steps.
Okay. Can you go back to that code then? Because I want to connect the
Okay.
dots here. I want to make sure I got it right. So I got a stage. I got the stage is called hello, and the
This is
first
a
step.
This is the where.
Yep.
This is a where or who is going to execute it. So where is executed in the master, or if we have any different agent, we can define there where. This is the what you say. The
So that's like the agent's kind of like
collection
a
of,
server that's going to run the compiler and stuff.
okay, yeah, that's right. And then we have the collection on the stage, and then we define single stage. Hello. We can name it in different ways if you want to, and then we have the collection of steps right here. Well, we can do, for example, echo another one, goodbye. And then as we run that one, we have multiple steps inside the same stage.
So this looks like a scripting language. Like
this is an scripted language, it's Ruby. It's really simple. If you don't know how to do something right, there is this little button. Let me save it here. There is this pipeline syntax here, and what does is Jenkins give you, for example, let's say that I want to do a git a checkout, for example, right? I don't know how to do git checkout. You provide the URL, HTTP, right? HTTP, your go repo, something like that. You specify the branch, you specify your credentials if you have any credentials there, and then you can just generate the script, and that is going to give you the piece of code that you have to do you want to pull, and then you just copy paste in your pipeline.
So easy, Bryce could probably do it in his management role.
Yeah, so you go, for example, and another way to do it is
Bryce,
check
unmute
out.
yourself so I can hear your giggles.
Yeah, I was too late, but I giggled, and I like how Roberto just moved right on and ignored your vicious attack at my.
Did I
my
mention that
Jenkins
we worked
skill.
together for a while? So
Yeah, I know him. So
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah.
but if you have any question, guys, just stop right there and say, oh, how
hey,
do
you're
you
too
do
kind. Like Matt, you haven't asked any question. Oh, so they can't hear you? Oh, then slack us the question and then we'll mouth it out for you.
Yeah, in the case, like if, for example, let's say that we want to do for a repository that we have right now, right? And then what we need to connect to the repository is we need the keys, the access key. I like always to use SSH connection to the repository. So I already have in the GitLab under my settings, right? I have this SSH key already added here. This is the public key. What I'm gonna do is I have another window right here, right? Let me close this one. Inside the keys, I have the GitHub private one, so I'm gonna copy that one, GitHub.
Yeah, everyone now knows his private key.
I don't care. I'm gonna delete it.
Quick, write it down.
So what you can do in Jenkins, right? You go to Jenkins and then you define, you can go Jenkins, then you have manage Jenkins, and then you define your credentials right there. In this case, I'm gonna add a new credential.
So while you do this, we have to coordinate like every system. We have to connect them together with credentials, right? We have to have our Jenkins server be able to talk to our source code repository, and within the Jenkins system, you do that through defining the credentials within the credential and the secrets of Jenkins. But there are other tools. Jenkins will do this job. So are other tools out there.
So if you can see here, we have these credentials. Actually, let me update that one. And then I would like to do something like more, okay. I believe in that case I can, so I'm gonna delete it because I don't like that ID. I'm gonna create it again and I'm gonna say GitHub SSH key, something like that. And then my username.
Is that Rob DevOps or Roberto E DevOps?
Rob DevOps. So as you can see now, the ID that I'm going to use is GitHub SSH. So if I go back to my pipeline, for example, I don't know anything about pipelines. I'm just learning right now. And then I do pipeline syntax. And then I would like to use the Git, for example, right there. I'm going to copy, it's right here, sorry. I'm going to copy the repository URL.
So what you're doing right now is you set up a key repository so you can go ahead and access your GitHub code.
Yeah,
right?
I'm gonna use the SSH. I don't want to use the HTTPS.
Yep. As we learned 3 years ago, SSH is so much better than HTTP.
So,
Why else wouldn't you want to use HTTPS in a pipeline scenario?
Not reliable.
the main issue is you have to change your usernames and password. So you're using username and password all the time. If something changed, you have to go back and then you have to handle all those credentials. With the SSH key, it's going to be easy because you just store the credential. And the credential never expire. That's one. But I never use HTTPS, to be honest.
Yeah.
I just try to keep it encrypted. And the other one is the issue with certificates. Those kind of issues you can face during the pipeline. So
it'll be visible in the pipeline. It'll be more visible to get your more user-based password as opposed to a key that you can revoke.
Yeah, the other thing we learned 3 years ago, Roberto and I learned this lesson together, was the Bitbucket server couldn't handle HTTP requests at the mass that the system would hit. So if we kicked off all the builds, I don't know if you were part of that, GitHub would actually choke out because it couldn't handle the HTTP literally the protocol. So we could do SSH because it's lighter weight.
Yep, that's a good question. Thank you. So if you can see when your voice is broken. Sorry.
I'll read it. So yeah, I was going to hold off on that one. So James was asking about different stages and connect to different repo branches, but we'll get there because I know where Roberto's going.
Yeah.
So James, hold tight.
Hold tight. We're gonna get there. So I copied this one. I'm Marcus right now. I don't know anything. I'm just generating the piece of code, trying to see if that works for me. I just parameterizing this, and this is giving me the piece of code that I need, right? So what I have to do here, for example, is say, okay, the first step is gonna be checkout, right? And then inside the steps, I'm gonna copy that piece of code right there. Let me put it like that. Let's say the another stage, for example, is going to be verify, something like this. Steps, and then we say SSH. Let me list what is in here.
Ooh.
Okay. I'm gonna check out the code here, and I'm gonna see in the next stage. So I have multiple stages. The first one is the checkout, and the second one is gonna see. Let me see if the code is already there. Is really full the code. So I'm gonna save it, and then I'm gonna build. And that was checkout and verify. Those are the new steps, the new stage. Sorry. And then if I can see, is doing all this checkout with that, and then
It's
I
just
have
running
it.
shell scripts. That's all it's doing.
Yeah, it's running shell scripts. So it's when you are using this, when you're using Ruby for a while, you don't even have to go to the Pylime script generation because you will learn all the syntax and what is required. It's pretty easy. As you can see, so far we have the Pylime is pulling my code, and then the next step that I want to do, for example, is going to be okay. I don't want to do the same that I did down here. I want to do. Let me show you to this one. So I want to do the same command that I just did here. That is Maven. Let me go
And,
back.
and
Maybe
Maven,
clean package. So let's say you can do tests only if you want me to.
do whatever you want to do. I was just going to say Maven, Marcus, because I'm not sure if you're familiar with Maven or Gradle. Maven is a superior build tool for Java. There's
Hmm.
another one called Gradle that not many good programmers like. And that's totally Bryce. You're not biting on this one.
Sorry, I'm
Oh,
biting now, but you gotta
I was
back
just
me up.
telling Marcus that Maven is a superior build tool for Java,
Uh,
and some people that are inferior developers think Gradle's better, but real true developers know Maven is better, and then probably Ant, and then rolling your own, and then Gradle if you don't have a good budget or good decision making skills.
yeah, probably Ant Ivy is the number one choice, I think, to go with. Absolutely.
By the way, there's only two choices, Bryce. What are they usually in Java world?
Gradle or Maven
and
or
and it's
Gradle.
really political. It's like talking about who's better, the Chicago Bulls or the Detroit Pistons, and everybody knows that Western Michigan University basketball team is the best basketball team in the world. So we don't get political here. But sorry, Roberto. Want to make
That's
sure
fine.
Marcus knew what Maven was because we're using all these buzzwords that I'm comfortable with. Marcus is that Bryce is comfortable with. Roberto speaks some natively, and Marcus is probably thinking, what's continuous integration, right? We just hit him with a lot of words that they don't teach in computer science school right now. But
Yo,
let's keep going.
so let's say that, for example, we don't want to do the whole process, right? Because when you do maybe clean package, you can do maybe tests, simple like that, and then it will run only the test of your code. And then I believe Joe was saying the first when we started uh, this meeting, he said we what are quality gateways. This is, for example, one of those, right? I have three tests. Those are running failure zero, whatever. So I want to do that one in my pipeline. It's gonna be so simple. Like you can go back to your pipeline, and then you can do the configuration right there and say, let me change this one to test, right?
Can we call this
And,
the quality department?
and then we just need to let's do it in the old way. So Maven test. Let me add this V because I don't want to see all those crazy logs.
Can you
And
not? What if you named the stage the quality team, the quality department?
the quality department.
Yeah, we want to send it over to the quality department to make sure that our three tests are up to user need. Right, Matt. You're kind of in management. That's what you would do. Delegate it over to the quality department.
So this is the idea behind the pipeline. So you are defining what is the next steps. And so the first stage was the checkout call. So, and then in the test, believe it or not, you check out the code. That's an output that is gonna use it as an input in the next stage. So as you can see here, I'm seeing whatever I was doing in my local, but I have it right now in the pipeline.
Wait, do all stages do that? Like from one stage to the next, is every previous stage's output the input to the next
You
stage?
can say that. So it doesn't require that you whatever you have deployed in the first one because you are running everything in Jenkins is in the same workspace. This is a concept of workspace, so it's the same local directory. If you can see in the outputs, right? For example, right here, you will see that workspace is Canton Coder apps. If you create another job, you're gonna have a different workspace. So everything is running in the workspace of your job name. So everything is in there. But it doesn't require, for example, there's different when you are using different agents, right? If the agents are different virtual machines or different containers or different servers or whatever you have running one server is not available in the other one. So you have to do things like archive or stash. What that process does behind the scene is gonna create a temporary, and then it's gonna you are able to pull that configuration or that codes or that artifacts in your next stage. Let's say you are using something like Nexus, where you are storing or artifacts or repository. I don't want to say the name. You can push your artifact in there. In the next stage, you can pull that artifact from there. So what you need, for example, is the artifact's name and version. You can share that between a stage using environment variables. That's one choice that you can use. That's an example.
So Marcus, have you taken OS3 yet?
No.
Did you take systems engineering yet?
Nope.
Okay. So when you get to those classes, we'll talk. We'll talk about this is actually executing within a shell within the server right now. So it's just like if you went to a command line and started exporting variables within that command line, it can recall them just because it's a command line variable.
Oh,
So
okay.
Jenkins is just an abstraction layer over, basically. Is it fair to say, Roberto, it's an abstraction layer over Bash or C Shell? It has a Ruby interpreter now.
Yeah, it's basically depends on what you require. For example, if you are running, it depends. So it's the Bash, or it's gonna be Batch for Windows, or you can run PowerShell. You're using Windows agent. It depends on what kind of agent are you using. So far, we're using one single agent. That's this agent is Ubuntu 1804. But if you're using Windows, you can run PowerShell or Command CMD, anything that you want. Um, so the next steps is we have all these pretty fancy things, right? It's working fine. I can see the code is executed. What is going to be the next stage? The next stage can be
Deploy?
we just run the we just run the let's say we just run the test, right? Like we did in here. But we need to I don't remember. I'm pretty sure that the test doesn't generate the war file, or it does. I don't remember.
I
Go
don't remember. Try it.
target, and then you see the war file is there. So
Yep.
let's say we want to deploy that one to uh, the Tomcat server, right?
Mhm.
And then in the Tomcat server, we don't have anything right there. There is no application here. What we can do, let's go back and see here. For example, let's add another stage.
I don't think this is the window you want to use, Roberto.
Yep. Thank you.
Pair programming. We cover each other.
Mob programming.
That just means
So,
we talk over each other.
so the idea here is I don't want to do the same thing, right? I just copy paste. It's gonna be easy. And then what we say deploy war.
Isn't that like the operations department? They deploy that out to the servers for us, right, Matt? You got a Gantt chart for this?
So what we want to do is in our server, right? Let me show you. I don't want to Marcus to get confused here. Right. So let me switch here.
Guys, I think Marcus is actually looking up the plumbing school at University of Michigan Dearborn. I think he's just going to switch over to just being civil engineer and working with real pipelines.
So Jenkins is Ubuntu. Just to show, just to be sure what is the is in here. Let me copy that one from here. It's gonna be easy. And then what I'm doing right now is connecting to the server. And then let me verify what is that. I believe it's this bar late Tomcat A web apps right there. So this is the path that I need. Let me copy this.
And if if you're pretty more advanced than Roberto is showing right now, Roberto is actually really good at immutable image promotion, artifact for promotion, artifact repositories and all those things. What we're demonstrating tonight is a very, very basic, hey, I just inherited code. I'm really new to continuous integration. How do we get to the fact that we don't need to call the operations department to deploy our code? We can do it ourselves with a very simple script. I have seen Roberto build a continuous integration pipeline to build a continuous integration pipeline. So that gets meta.
So right now what I'm doing is copying from the target directory that I have here locally, and then copying that war to this specific, the Tomcat isn't the same server. So, but if you have a different server, you can do SSHCP or any tool that you are using to copy from locally to remotely servers. So if we
So
execute
copying it allows you to run it on your Tomcat server then?
yeah. So when you copy the Tomcat server, that's allow you to test your different versions. You have multiple versions.
What happened, Roberto?
Yeah, you like it.
You broke it, Roberto.
Yes, I broke it.
Can you
So
go back?
Marcus, the copy isn't what's gonna like deploy, but I think he's just moving it to the place where he needs it to then start it in Tomcat. So I think you're halfway there. Yeah, but the copy was just a pure, Linux command copy.
Yeah, just a copy command. That's right.
And Roberto, can you show us your picture of your green pipeline? Because I'm sure it's all green, right?
No, it's not green. It's red.
What? You broke the build? Is it time to go home?
It's not time to go home. It's time to stay late. So the only thing that I need to.
If it looks like this, are you allowed to go home on your team?
Well, it depends on my boss.
Bryce,
for me, 8 hours after that, those 8 hours, I go home.
Bryce,
But,
if it's
sometimes, sometimes it's not true. So
Joe, it depends. If the CR expires tonight to deploy, then no one's going home. But if we've got a multi-day CR, then we could go home. Yeah.
You Bryce break my heart. If it turns red, you do git revert and redeploy.
No, you don't want to do that.
Because let's that holy war.
What happens is Marcus commits something with you and say, let's do it together. We're using the same machine. And that means like, what are you reverting my changes to? Yours are failing, no mine.
Yeah, but I get to go home.
Yeah, but I want to go home. So that one is, so when you do Maven test, it's not generating the file. So what I can do here to be more, let's say, we can add another pipeline right after this one, because we want to do the test. So the test is going to be part of our quality gateway, and then we can do package, right? And then we can do maybe clean install. Okay, I don't remember how to skip the test. Anyone?
I think it's something D skip. Just run them again, dude. There's 3 of them. But there is a way to do a flag. It's like B maven.plugin.surefire equals skip test true or something.
The way I like to skip tests is just to have no tests. Is that an adequate way of doing it?
Having no tests?
Or are you being real?
Let the
user protect it. Let the users test it. Right? They'll call you if it doesn't work, unless it's the fun.
They're very responsive over there. Yeah, they got my number.
The user testing group is really good.
I believe it's gonna be something like this, but I don't remember.
Just run the test again. I don't think it's a big deal, unless you Googled it.
Test, yeah. Skip equal true.
Oh, I was that close. True though, not tired.
I believe so. Then when we run this one, we don't want to run the test, right? We just want to skip it here.
Yeah, we want to save that CPU for those 3 tests. I get it. This is an AWS cluster that's costing you pennies a day.
Kinda. There's a lot of stress here. So you can see this one, or you can see this one and see how this one is going to change the deploy war in a different. It's a new stage, this package.
Fun story. The first time I set up Jenkins, there was a quality department I was working with, and I took all their tests and run them. and then I had the Jenkins build give the director of QA the build so the quality team could run their test again. But I just didn't want to fight the political battle.
So this one was successful here. And then you refresh here, you see the Canton Coders are right there.
Yep.
And then you have
Whoa.
your deployment.
So if we want,
yep.
Holy cow. If we wanted to change that to Canton Coders spelled with a space, how long would that take us to deploy out to production?
So you want to change with the space.
Put a
The only
space in
thing that we
Canton
need to
Coders.
do is Sorry?
Can we do that really quick?
Yep. So we go here, we go here.
Obviously, we're not doing test-driven development here. We're just we're learning CI.
Yips CI. So greeting, remember, I don't even remember what is that piece of code. So
There's some HTML.
yeah, it's on HTML.
Oh, right there. It's right there.
Canton Coders, right? I just
Hit
say,
save.
and then I do get a status, sorry. And then we do, with add -m with a space, you push.
And the Jenkins server is not triggering off a commit right now, is it?
No, but we can do that too. So this one is I run it again, right? And then you will see this one is running the whole process again. I don't remember if I have any test that is validating. That is
no. This is about building a pipeline, not writing good, clean code.
Yeah, my test is doing true. And then your refresh. It didn't, I believe it didn't overwrite, or you have to redeploy it. Let me check. There you go.
Wow. Marcus,
So it's redeployed, but the good question there was we are doing this manually, but we can configure that one to do all the. Yep.
Roberto, while you start configuring that to do it automatically, is that okay? Bryce, I'm going to ask you a question. When you first got into computer development professionally, how long would it take you to deploy a change like that to production?
Yeah, I mean, I early part of my career, we were on some deployments that would take like 8 hours, 10 hours, copy, working. We're on the phone with an infrastructure guy in India, and we say, move this folder to there, and that didn't work. Oh, shoot, send the logs. Can you move this folder there? And the big problem there also that caused that problem was we didn't have similar environments between the QA and prod. So it was like always, there's no stability. So I think like what Roberto just showed, you can have the same process done no matter what environment, and then things will be done the same. But yeah, it used to take a lot longer, multiple days, a lot of being yelled at. I remember those days for sure.
You can actually put a stage in that just says yelling, and then you can still get yelled at.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Put some audio WAV file in there, and record my favorite managers from my past life.
So Roberto, we've been in here 45 minutes, which with all of our banter and questions, that's really not that long to set up a basic pipeline. Probably, I don't know how long you want to go tonight. I'm happy to go as long as you want to go. But what are some of the things you want to demonstrate before we maybe invite people in on Zoom and play around with this code product?
Well, the configuration for the trigger is a little bit, it's not hard, but it's a little bit complex. So you have to do some configuration in the GitHub with the token, and then you have to go back and do some configuration in your Jenkins and establish the communication between those.
Do you want to do that?
I can do that. Yep.
Or Marcus, what do you want to know? Because I know Roberto can do this. I'm pretty sure Bryce can. I'm pretty sure Matt can. But what do you want to know, Marcus?
Let's do that thing. I guess the one thing I was wondering was if you were to I don't know, miss a semicolon or something, and then try to run the pipeline, would it cause a failure?
Mm-hmm.
Can we try it? Do you
You
know how to
want to
write
do?
bad code? Yeah. Can you write bad code that doesn't compile, Roberto? If
Okay,
not,
sure.
Bryce can.
Let's say we
Yeah,
can.
absolutely. Give me control. Give me the control. It'll take me 2 seconds here. I know
So
exactly.
you
He's got
ask.
a PowerPoint about that.
I gonna. So the good thing is that should not be happening, right? Because what you should do, you should run your tests locally before moving forward in your pipeline. That's one of the best practices that you can do, right? But let's do it like we don't care, we didn't test, or we think that we did it.
It's
You've got
4
some
o'clock. It's
cowboy on the team, and they had to get one fix out before their date with their their remote date at home. So they just
their
quickly
Zoom
had to
date.
submit Zoom date exactly. They just weren't thinking.
Yeah.
So what you can do
You were
here,
gonna turn off the face filter tonight. It was like a first serious Zoom date. Like the face, the auto tune was gonna be turned off. Like
Magic was gonna happen.
like they were
Exactly.
gonna stand up against the wall and actually see the real height. So things that we didn't have to live through, Bryce, but the current generation has a real challenge.
I can't imagine it, man. I can't imagine it. Yeah.
so it's failing right there.
How do you know that it's broken? Can you?
As you can see the logs, or you can see the whole logs here. Is going to be when you're doing the Maven compile. You see one error, and it's saying which line, what was suspected was a semicolon. So you can go back and fix it.
Does that answer your question, Marcus?
Yeah.
So the idea is for example, you don't have to keep washing at this. Marcus, what you have is something that we don't have here. Is you can send a notification, right? When something wrong happened, you can do, let's say, we can configure that one, right? And then we can do something like this, for example. Let me see, what is the stage right there? When the stage is closed, right? I can do pause, and then I can do always, or I can do failure, and then I can send echo, um, send notification. And then what we can do here is you can develop solution like okay, I want to send an email to the team, or I want to put this error in the Slack or Microsoft Teams, or any collaboration tool that you have.
Or
You,
Marcus, some of the cool stuff is I've seen teams build IoT devices that will like signal that the build has failed.
Oh wow.
Like you could just have a robot says you fail, or you could have like a Picard facepalm show up on a screen.
Yeah, I think like I had a team before where they got an old stoplight, like one of those like street stoplights, and then they had it wired up to be like red, yellow, green, and based on that. And it's always best to very publicly shame the person that committed this bad code that broke the build. So I think that's always, however you do it, there should be some kind of light, light kind of friendly attack at the person too.
Yeah, it used to be like you got like publicly shamed, if not fired, but we found that just makes people not want to commit their code frequently.
Yeah. No, it needs to be in good taste and light for sure. There's a line for sure.
Yeah.
and that's pretty much the idea, right? So you can sing also, like you can see here, it failed, and then you will see you will receive a notification. It doesn't matter what kind of notification it is.
Cool.
But you don't have to keep monitoring this one. You just push. You configure your continuous iteration like my code repository is gonna trigger in the Jenkins job, and the Jenkins job is going to notify the team what something fail, um, and then you can move forward from there.
Yeah.
You can send the whole logs. You can attach the logs to the email. You can send cards if you're using Teams, Microsoft Teams. You can create cards. You are using a slide. You can create a channel for troubleshooting, or
You can even revert the code if you wanted to.
you can push action from the Slack to Jenkins again.
Yeah. Whatever you can program, you can do. You can literally shoot a nuclear missile if there's an API for that.
So let's see if you want to go forward and move forward and see if we can do
There's a question in Slack from an N. Clayson, really distinguished guy. So I know we only have a little more time here before we open up the Zoom for everyone to join and we turn off the Twitch. Um, Instead of hooking GitHub to Jenkins, could you do show how we version control Jenkins pipelines? Is that okay? Can you make a Jenkins file?
Do you want me to do the Jenkins file in this one, right?
Yeah, I think that's easier because connecting GitHub to Jenkins is on a push-based notification. So when you do a commit to Jenkins, it should do a build. There's a lot of things to Google on that, but I think it's more critical that people see the really cool thing about pipelines is pipeline as code, and then the fact that it's just
Yep.
it's just like all your other code. If you make a mistake, you can revert it, right? You can do a pull
So,
request on it.
so what you do, I just copy
I
this
know
one.
it's a really complex step here, Roberto.
So it's gonna be copy this one, and then what you can do here is in your this is the project that I have right here, and then let's create. It's gonna be Jenkins. Sorry, Jenkins file. Is you don't have you install the plugin for Jenkins.
Yep.
And then something is gonna change here. It's gonna be a little bit different. When you are doing this, right, the Jenkins already is part of your repository. So you don't have to do this part, the checkout part. You can skip the by default checkout, or you can keep it. I like to keep it because this is less code that I have to maintain. So what I can do here is just let me copy this one, remove this one, right? Let me save this one, and then I have to go back here and say, hey, this is gonna come in from Git, and my URL is gonna be this one. My credentials are gonna be that one. And then you can specify more branch strategy here. It's looking for this Jenkins file, but you can rename it if you want to rename it. And then we're gonna say save, right? And then what we can do is, let me fix this one with the semicolon. And then let me close this and then sorry, and let me reset this. Git commit, I'm gonna add the Jenkins. Um, Jenkins, Jenkins CI CD as code.
Good enough. Nobody's gonna judge your typing tonight.
That janky commit message right there. Yeah.
Well, I think it did say janky commitment.
Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
That's fine. I don't care. It's your
As a manager, Bryce, you gotta
just your job. That's the your job. It's not my job. You say that you were working with me, like doing mob programming, but you keep attacking me.
I'm not attacking you. I'm supporting
And
you.
then you have to review whatever we are doing.
No,
So
you got set up. I'm sorry, Roberto. You're right. You're right. Well, this is not a very.
Yeah. By the way, Bryce, this is about Marcus, getting Marcus up to speed, because Marcus didn't know anything about pipelines tonight, and I think.
So yeah, I think Marcus is learning a lot.
Yeah, he's learning to go back into civil engineering and real plumbing.
So as you can see, we don't have anything right there. You don't see anything here. Everything is in your configuration scope. You just provide what is your repository, and
yep. What is
it's here. It's here. The
so
Jenkins files.
Is this called pipeline as code?
Yeah, this is called pipeline as code, or continuous iteration as code, maybe. Yep. And the good thing is with Jenkins, people are scared like, oh, I know Jenkins, but when you know how to do it, when you get the idea from one single tool like Jenkins, you can do the same thing with any other CI/CD server with GitLab, Bucket, Azure DevOps. You just need to learn what are the tools they have to execute these steps, but you have the mindset of doing the process, which is really good.
Definitely.
So I
It's
think,
like when you learn one language, it's gonna be easy for you to learn the other ones.
so what I just saw, and there's probably 30%, 50 to 60% banter, was you took a legacy code base and you could deploy a web service that you inherited to build a continuous integration pipeline in less than an hour. Is that what we just did?
Kind of, as you can say that. So I can tell you one of my experience. I worked before, like in 2015, for a company. They have a huge amount of legacy code, right?
Mhm.
And they are doing new development. And then the CEO said, okay, whatever is going to be new, we don't want to put it in the old legacy thing. We're going to keep adding things in the new approach. It's going to be continuous integration. We are going to use Jenkins, configuration as code, everything. And
Mhm.
then if something is failing in the legacy code that someone wants the support, we're going to get that piece of legacy thing. We're going to review it. And we're going to migrate it to the new mindset with the new culture. And then we don't support that old version anymore. And then whatever they are requiring right now, we're just going to migrate it. And when we don't have a huge backlog, there's sometimes the developers have some kind of relief. They were moving little pieces of that one that can be reused. It's the little thing that we're developing really legacy mode, and they rethinking the way that was in monolithic applications, moving to microservices, that kind of things or idea. And then they at the end of the year, in just 1 year, they moved 50% of all the legacy integrated with the new approach, using new strategies, new technologies, new microservices, designs, and architecture. It was pretty good. You have to do one step at a time.
Yeah.
You cannot freak out because this is not taking time. It's just taking willingness to do it.
Yeah.
Discipline. Yeah. Yeah.
So Roberto, is there anything else we want to cover before we've been at this for about an hour? Is there anything we want to cover before we turn off the Twitch and invite people in the Zoom?
The integration one we can do it in Zoom because in this one it's going to take a little bit more. A little bit more. I don't know if I have time to do that one right now. But that would be the final amazing piece to see every time that I
You want to do
push.
that? Let's do that because then we can put it on our YouTube channel.
You wanted to do that? Okay.
You want to do that live?
I don't care. Yeah, let's do it. So there's a couple of things that I have to do first. One is configure the Jenkins, right? So let's go to Jenkins, do manage Jenkins, and then configure the system right here. And then you go to the section where you have GitHubs. I have something like that in here, but I didn't test it. I don't remember why. So you can name the GitHub. You keep this version for API if you are using the GitHub organization. If you are using GitHub's Enterprise, it's going to be something like API version 3. I don't remember, something like that. But we don't care about that one right now. And then the credentials. So it's telling you, okay, right here. If you are using GitHub Enterprise, you can use this one. In other case, just leave it like this. The credential for GitHubs has to be configured here. And
Don't share your secret key on this one.
don't share what?
Don't share your secret key on this one.
I don't care. It's open project. What is gonna happen?
Someone's going to steal your top secret code here that says hello, Canton Coders.
So one tricky one. So I just want the repositories, and let's see, Canton Coders. I just need that one. Let's generate that one. That's the token. And that token is required for Jenkins to be able to connect to GitHub. If you can see here in Jenkins, you can add different kind of credentials, but it doesn't work with the GitHub plugin. It's mandatory that you create a secret file. It's the only one that is working.
I actually had this problem yesterday when trying to set up the Jenkins service for this. So thanks, Roberto. It's changed.
So GitHub, any name, GitHub tokens, because you won't see, even if I have, you remember that I created the other credentials for For the Jenkins, you won't see it there. It's only circuits, the one that are working. If you do test, it's working. It's say that that one is done. We don't have to do anything else here, I believe. And let's go back to this one here. Configure. In here, I'm pretty sure that this is fine. This is fine. I believe I have to configure this one. The project URL. Let's go back to the repository. In the repository, we have this one. And then we have to copy this.
Do you copy that or you copy the project URL? Honestly, don't know. I'm asking that as a legitimate
I
question.
believe you copy this one. Is the URL.
You build these like daily, so
I have been a while that I didn't try this one, so I'm
we'll
just
learn.
yeah, we learn here, and then you will get that one. Let me check in advance what do we have here. I don't care. Let's say that we save, but I think that I'm missing something because I need to establish the communication. Okay, the missing part here is the web hub. So the web hub is related with every project. So you go to settings and then you do the web hubs.
So Webhook is, I won't ask a question, I'll just share what it is. Webhook is a way that Jenkins, GitHub can actually tell Jenkins to wake up and do something. So it pushes a notification out to the Jenkins server.
So in this case, it's I have to put this one here, and then I remember it's something like GitHub webhook. Like that. I want to change it to application JSON. I won't use any secrets. You can send everything or just push event, or you can even select individuals. Depends on what are you looking. If you have other application that is communicating with GitHub, you can get anything, a lot of information in them. This will be delivered as a JSON format. Let's do just push. And I'm pretty sure that I have to set up my username and password for Jenkins. Something like that.
Oh my goodness, that's a secure.
And let me activate that one. And I believe, let me check here. So let me check. It did it once, so it's working. Blah, blah, blah. I don't have anything else. Let me check back. So it's number 10, right? So if we go back here and say pending call here, and then I'm lazy. Let me fix what my friends told me.
We don't care, Roberto. I'm glad though you feel public shame with bad commit messages.
So this one is submitting. I hope it's gonna work. So let's check here. This something went well. It didn't work. So
A live demo. Never do a live demo. Something will go wrong. Was it this?
It's working fine, as you can see here, right? It's giving
200
response.
usually good.
Yeah.
Green is normally good. I know Bryce is more in project management now, so is green good?
Green is good.
Green is good.
Well, if you're doing about testing, I'd like to see red.
We want to see red go to green for sure.
Yeah, let me see. I believe I'm not missing anything here.
So what you're doing is you're having GitHub call Jenkins and tell it to do a build.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not listening. Jenkins is not listening to you.
Jenkins is listening, and the communication is established between those. Because in this case, the web hub was working fine, and it means that it's able to communicate with Jenkins.
Mm-hmm.
but I'm
It just didn't
concerned.
trigger. You got a
Yeah.
200, so it connected, and then
Connected and answer is
yeah,
response.
yeah.
See, which is really good.
Does
But
Jenkins has logs for webhooks still?
Are you sure that it didn't run? Like maybe there was like a wait. Do you want to go back and see if
That's true. There could have been a.
it's like a silent wait?
no,
No, that
this
was
is
cool.
number 9. It's number 9 yet.
Yeah.
But I can tell, just let me do a quick review. So we configured the Jenkins, the communication between the Jenkins was fine in the configured system. And then we configured the web hub, and the web hub is working fine because it's in this project. And if we commit again, for example, uh, right, and then we are doing git commit, and then we are doing the push, um, the GitHub is triggered, as you can see,
Yep.
and it's working fine. It's responding, it's sending whatever I want, but it's not getting that one in the project. So if I configure this one, let's see something here. Blah blah. Okay, this one is the one that was missing.
Oh. Yeah, we got to tell Jenkins to actually pay attention to us. Now I know how my wife feels.
So let's say happy path. Let's say this is happy path right now. And then
Bryce
there you
didn't
go.
get that joke.
No,
So
I
Said
just
he forgot to check the box. You know,
yep. It was really fast. You know, job is putting so much pressure on me. That that's
I mean,
them.
you got a million people watching you right now, so I mean, I know it's a lot of pressure. Yeah.
376.
How
Right.
many people?
4,370,000.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah. We
yeah.
have more people than both political conventions combined.
So that's the final piece. Like I don't care what is happening. I'm just going to push my changes, and that is going to be automatically triggering the pipeline every single time. If something happens, I will get a notification in my email, a Slack, or Microsoft Teams, or any collaboration tool, and then I can go there. I don't even have to go to Jenkins. Some people say that, but my developers don't have access to Jenkins. You don't need it because on that collaboration tool, you are getting the whole logs, so you can see the logs, review the logs, do the troubleshooting, and then fix it.
Definitely. Yeah, if
But
you do like the chat ops and have like the Jenkins finishes sends to Slack, like you said, and then all developers have to see is in the development channel. They would never have to go and
yep.
see the
But
specific
the
commit.
good thing here is even with Jenkins, you can send feedback. Let's say that you create a pull request, you want to review it, that kind of things, right? For production, but when it's non-production, you can say, let me know if the build was successful. Just close the pull request and do the merge, right? And then even you don't have to keep doing those crazy release manager things. That is pretty a bottleneck most of the time. It's maybe one or two guys reviewing the whole team's code. There's a lot of things that you can do. I believe one of the main goals that Joe invited me to this conversation was a lot of people are scared about how long it's going to take. I can do that in one day. I can do that. It's taking so long. And as you can see, it's not taking so long. It's
Yeah.
just you have to be willing to do it.
Yeah.
So Roberto, would it be possible if you could share your remote control with Marcus? And could Marcus change instead of welcome to Canton Coders to something like, hi, I'm Marcus. I know how to build a pipeline. Because if he can do that, right, and push it out to production, then Marcus is qualified, and we will print him off a fake certificate of pipeline engineering and give him another free chip.
So Michael has the control now.
Marcus, you daring the print the code with us? We'll help you. He's on mute, so you're not going to hear You're not going to hear him say no.
Come on, man. You're gonna be the driver, and Joe is gonna be the navigator.
Oh, so Marcus, can you open up Visual Studio Code there at the bottom? The code in Java, which is funny and ironic, but I wanted to say it all night.
Mm.
We don't know. Marcus, maybe Marcus was on one of those Zoom dates, and he was just being nice and listening to our Zoom call too. You're on mute, Marcus. So whatever you said, I deserve. But if you can't do audio, that's cool. Does he have remote control of your desktop there, Roberto?
Yeah, Marcus is controlling your screen.
Go to Visual.
There you go.
Yep, and then go over to that welcome. There you go. Change it to whatever you want it to say, as long as it's not political or going to get us thrown off Twitch. I'm great at pipelines. I've seen a resume that says that.
Nice.
And then save it and then commit that code. Do you know how to do that? Control S. And then go down to that command line window at the bottom and push the up arrow once. Oh, nope, a little higher. Go up about 50 pixels right there in the terminal. Click on it and push up and hit enter. And no one say anything about that commit message. All right? Now go check to see if it's done.
Go Jenkins and the Chrome. Yep. Go back. Go back. Is 11?
There's 11 build running.
Yep.
You can click on it, Marcus, and see how your code's doing. Or you can see it running there on the right. Quality just got a hold of it.
Oh no.
Oh no, what do we do? Click on it really quick, Marcus. I thought this was going to be easy. Click on the console output on the left-hand side. There you go. Scroll down to where it says error. An illegal reflective access. Whoa, scroll back up.
Scroll up.
Oh, okay. It might take all the brain power on the call to fix this. An illegal reflective access operation has occurred.
That's a warning.
Oh, sorry.
Scroll down at the bottom. It's a little bit. Just scroll down.
Marcus, yeah, scroll down, yeah, to the bottom. It's gonna be near the end, yeah. Test run, and they dumped a bunch of stuff. Anyways, it's all of our fault for not catching whatever.
Scroll up a little bit. Scroll up. I scroll up a little bit. I believe it's in there.
Oh, we had a test that failed.
Oh, see, the test failed because it's checking for the welcome.
Because we didn't run the test. Oh,
see?
We didn't run the test.
See?
I let it astray.
I told you. I told you.
Roberto, help him. Bryce, help him. Matt, help him. I can't talk anymore.
That's embarrassing.
So go back, and then you can do add a welcome to your line in the code, in the VS Code.
Or change that test. What is the test?
Just welcome. Just checking for welcome. Just go to the VS Code at in the bar, the toolbar. Yeah, right there. And then add just welcome in somewhere there.
Or say like welcome. I'm great at pipe. Yeah, or I'm great at Python.
Yeah,
welcome.
that's fine.
Yeah, that's great. It's beautiful.
That
test is really.
Do you hear
that test is really effective? Yeah.
Go here. Type in the terminal though. So go to the bottom of this where the blue is. Type in MVN test.
No, it can't because it didn't save it.
Oh wait, Visual Studio Code doesn't automatically save things?
It does not.
Yeah, yeah, I believe I don't have it from that one.
Okay. No, hit enter.
There you go.
Now push the up arrow twice, which should do the commit. Once that passes, right? You can add this now to your resume, Marcus.
There you go. Push
hit
it.
enter.
Hit enter, and then you are free to go.
Yeah. Should we look, or should we just like do a not Pavlov? What's the Schrodinger's deploy? Right. If the users don't call us, it all worked.
Yeah, if you go back to Jenkins, you will see that one's running fine.
You want to go back to Jenkins there, Marcus?
Click the where it say Canton Coders bot apps. Yep, right there. And that was
Hey,
deployed.
and then can we go look at? Can we go look at and see it?
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, you can go to the right, to the other tab, to the one in the right, the one to the last one. Yeah, go back, and then click in the Canton Coder 001 right there.
Roberto, you are a
There-
wizard.
there you go.
Marcus, you are now equally as good as Roberto. You should go get a job on the DevOps team and ask Brian how to be on the DevOps team.
There you
because-
go. You made the changes, you fix it, but my test was working. I told you.
So we're gonna go ahead and jump onto the Zoom chat. Roberto, pleasure. Thank you for doing this. Roberto, if we want to ask you questions, how do we do that?
You can put it in the chat, in the Slack.
And you hang out in our Slack, right?
Yep.
So if you at Roberto, he's in one of our groups in our Slack chat. Bryce, thank you as always. Matt, thanks for producing. Marcus, thank you for going on a limb here. And we'll see you guys in about 2 weeks on the September 16th when we do streaming. We're taking 2 weeks off because of the holiday. Thank you so much. And Matt, let us know when we're not live to 4.3 million people.
Is anyone want to use the code? It's an open project, so.
Yep.
Thanks a lot.